Hi and welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how community artists can protect themselves and why it's really important that you make sure that you are not personally liable as an individual self-employed artist. I'm also going to be giving some other tips as well and pointing you towards some really useful resources. This is a really important video if you are an individual artist, and I know a lot of people who've got community interest companies like me are also self-employed artists, so this video is for you. Before I jump into all of that, please hit the subscribe button for everything to do with community interest companies, community artists, social enterprises and grant funding. So if you need any other help or support from me, you can book a phone call with me. You can do that over on my website. I've also got other resources on the website, like I've got a membership and also my course, How to Set Up CIC and Get Grant Funded in 4 months. So that aside, let's get into it. So I am a community artist, as you know, and I've also got a CIC, but I also do individual Arts Council applications for me as an individual artist, also sell my art as an artist. So I do a lot of things on the side that are outside of my community interest company, and that has been a great way for me to earn extra money that goes alongside the money that I make with my community interest company. So that's always a format that works well, and I advise that a lot on this channel. And I know I've got lots of students that have done my courses and got my membership and who do calls with me who are the same similar situation to me. So this is really important because most of you will know that when you're doing your CIC, of course, you get your insurance and that is all protected, and anything you do under your CIC, you're not personally liable for, because directors of a CIC are not personally liable. And if you're doing work for the CIC, you're not personally liable. And you, of course, would have public liability insurance, directors insurance, and all of that would protect all of the work that you do over in your CIC. But what if you're doing some work as an individual artist? So say you've got an individual Arts Council application, say you're doing some workshops that you're being paid for into your self-employed account, say you're out there doing events or music events as an individual artist, or maybe you're making a documentary as an individual artist, all of those things that you do as an individual artist, you also need to make sure you're not personally liable for, because this is the mistake that people make. They know that when you have a company, an LTD or a CIC, that you've got that security, but you can actually still make yourself secure as an individual artist. And this is really, really important, because say you do an event, and something bad happens, or maybe you make a documentary or do some kind of work that somebody's not happy with, or they've taken offence to, or what if you do a grant funding application, maybe your project goes wrong, or maybe you lose some receipts or something, and then the Arts Council breach you, and then you have to pay back the money. You need to make sure that you are protected as a person. So, just in case there is any kind of problem that might occur. Now, I know we all think, oh, it will be fine. I'm not going to have any problems like that. I'm going to make sure my projects go well, and I'm not doing anything that's going to offend anyone and all this sort of thing. But do you know what? You can't assume that, and you must not think that you can just go through a career and not protect yourself, because you could get caught out and then you'll regret it. So good news is I found a resource which is going to be really useful. So it's called AN, and I'm going to put a link in the bio, but basically here it is. So AN do a artist, this is for artists, individual artists, and it's only £38 their membership for the year, and it includes loads. So I do this, I've been told about it by other artists who also do it. It's really good. So basically for £38 a year, which isn't very much, is it? That includes legal and tax advice on a helpline. So that's really useful. So you can phone up, like before you do self-employed tax returns, you can phone up if you've got any legal issues, and you've got that helpline there. It includes your public liability insurance up to 10 million. So it includes all your insurance as an artist. So that's great, that's done. It won't include things like content insurance, just to make that clear. So this is including stuff like public liability, to make sure you're not personally liable. It also includes a bunch of other resources, useful workshops, events and stuff that they do with other artists, and also professional development stuff as well. And they give bursaries. So you can get a bursary as an individual artist. And if you're a paying member, then you're entitled to more bursaries. Bursaries are like 500 to 1,000, so that's really useful. So I think £38, I would recommend all of you community artists get this. So I've got this, and I don't get any, just to say, I don't work for them, I don't get any commission. I've just found that this is a good resource, so I'm sharing it with you. So aside from the fact that you can obviously get this, which will help you as a self-employed individual artist, I do recommend you considering thinking, if your individual arts career, again, outside of your CIC, it's going to take off, if that's something you're going to be doing quite a bit of, consider setting up as an LTD. So I have always had an LTD, and that again just gives you extra support and protection from personal liability if anything happens there. So for instance, when I used to be a photographer, I used to have it as an LTD, and that was really useful because if anything happened or anyone made a complaint or anything, I always had the insurance that I knew that I was always protected personally. No one was ever going to be able to sue me and take my house. So I was protected under the LTD model. So do think that as well about the other option that you've got is moving away from the self-employed model and actually putting your individual arts business into an LTD. Because then you're guaranteed by £1, so the most you'd ever lose is the £1, and so you are not personally liable, so no one can ever come and take your house or whatever. So do consider that that's actually another option. Now, it's quite common for people to have an LTD and also have a CIC, okay? So you can do that and have that model. I've done that for many years, as I said. So what I would do there is when I do work for my CIC, I would invoice my CIC from my LTD. So it works the same as if you're a self-employed person invoicing over. So you might wonder, how does this work, like pay-wise? If what are the advantages of being an LTD rather than a self-employed artist? Well, I've got other videos on this channel that kind of cover this in more detail, but since we're here and chatting about it, I might as well just mention it again. But there are some extra tax benefits of being an LTD. For instance, you can offset more and do more business expenses off of your LTD. So that is something that you might want to consider. You can also save money up and maybe buy an asset like a building, which I would never recommend doing as a personal buying a property other than, of course, your home. But I would never recommend buying, say, a commercial property as an individual. You should never do that. You should always buy it as an LTD. There's massive tax benefits to that. So that's another option you've got, when you start to grow as an LTD, is you could, you might think about putting it into property, maybe to rent or something, or commercial place unit for you. So it just gives you other options. And like I said, there are other tax, loopholes. Of course, as a self-employed person, you can still offset lots of stuff on your taxes, but as an LTD, there are just some extra tax benefits, and protection benefits when it comes to being personally liable. So that is my advice for this video on individual artists and how you can protect yourself and not be personally liable. So I hope that was really useful, and I've got a link to AN, the membership, in this video, so go over and check out their website. And like I said, £38, it's not very much for the peace of mind.